to be back at the Southern Cross Resources Conference. From our beginning in 2002, Hannans has evolved from a pure greenfields explorer with some promising projects into a balanced, diversified company with major belt positions for base metals and bulk commodities and a good balance sheet. So what we're aiming to do is provide shareholders with returns through exposure to economic mineral deposits, but by successfully managing 3 separate business units, so more than just the pure explorer. So it's a little bit different. Our view on life is these business units are all complementary. We have our exploration business, Hannans Reward. We have our investment management business, and we have our corporate services business. What does all that mean? What that means is that we've positioned Hannans shareholders for rapid capital growth from the exploration side and steady growth from the investment management side and the provision of corporate services. Obviously, coming from the corporate side, maybe you have a bit of a bent for the corporate, but being born in Kalgoorlie, I certainly have the dust in the lungs and I love the exploration. So with a solid balance sheet, we listed in December 2003 and we raised $3.5 million. We currently have $30 million in cash and listed equities and no debt. So an example of our business model is probably best described by our early entry into the East Pilbara in 2003, where we discovered a high-grade hematite deposit undercover, which is not how most of them are situated, out near the Jigalong community, which is east of Jimblebar, BHP's Jimblebar Iron Project. We then teamed up with the forward-thinking team from Warwick Resources. We started the consolidation process for iron projects in the East Pilbara by selling into Warwick, and then we supported the takeover of Warwick by Atlas Iron. So we now hold 6.4 million shares in Atlas Iron, and we think David Flanagan's doing a fantastic job building that company. And that's, I guess that can be summarised for us as opportunity recognition, exploration success and risk-taking, and it certainly was, in a managed way. 2 value-adding transactions, which have ultimately ended up in $22 million worth of Atlas at $3.50, which is good. So our job, though, that was the easy part, I guess. Bulk commodities is, from an exploration perspective, is reasonably straightforward. Obviously, it's a logistics business. Our task is to repeat that, but with base metals on a much, much grander scale. And we think we can do that with nickel sulfides in Western Australia at Forrestania, at Lake Johnson, or Queen Victoria Rocks. In the East Pilbara, we still believe we can monetise our manganese, and I'll explain that briefly in a short time. So shareholders in Hannans will also get opportunities to our corporate services products, and the best one that we've built to date, I'm extremely proud of this, is we built this company called Scandinavian Resources, which listed on ASX 12 months ago. Micro cap $12 million, currently worth $80 million, on its way to $250 million. This picture here is from the northern Sweden mining district of Kiruna. The Kiruna iron mine is the largest iron mine in Europe. It's been going for 100 years. And Scandinavian Resources is now the largest landholder around the largest iron mine in Europe, having picked up the old Swedish government iron deposits from the 1970s. And that's a picture of some magnetite diamond core that was from our South Asfara project in March. So watch that space, Scandinavian Resources. And that's an example of what we've done within our services team, and that product was offered to Hannans Reward shareholders. So who though is doing our work at Hannans, and who's going to find a nickel sulfide deposit for Hannans Reward? We believe it's these chaps. It's also worth noting before that I go into this that we haven't raised any equity since 2009, and we only have 130 million shares on issue. So no capital raisings, unfortunately, has meant no fees for the investment broking community, which in this strong capital raising environment means we've been a little bit off the radar for the brokers. So, but we're not an investment company, we are an exploration company, and with our market cap currently of $25 million and investments of 30, I challenge you to suggest that this portfolio I'm about to show you is worth zero. On that point, I was reminded about some comments made by a favourite son of this conference, the most successful nickel sulphide founder and major shareholder in recent memory, Mr. Kerry Hannans, when he introduced his projects pre-discovery to some investment bankers on a global conference. Kerry, as we know, is pretty strongly opinionated, and he started his presentation by asking three well-dressed chaps in the front row what they did for a job. One said, "I'm an analyst." The other said, "I'm an accountant." And another said, "I'm an engineer." Kerry looked at them all absolutely exasperated, apparently. It's a bit of folklore. And apparently he said to each of them, "You won't get it, you won't get it, and neither will you." This Jubilee story, it's a nickel sulphide exploration story. You can't model it, you have to believe, and you have to have faith. So at Hannans, we believe and we have faith. The rest is history, I think, with JBM. These three guys here are doing the job for us very, very well. So Don Huntley is our exploration manager, joined us 12 months ago from Xstrata Nickel, ex-Jubilee. So Don was primarily responsible for the discovery of the Sinclair nickel deposit for JBM. And thankfully, Don has brought with him two of his colleagues, consultants, Ben Jones, a geophysicist, also JBM Xstrata, currently with Southern Geoscience, and Dr. Nigel Brand, a geochemist. As you can see, the chaps have all been WMC, some with Anglo, Jubilee and Xstrata. So we believe in these guys and we believe they're doing a good job, and they all bring a disciplined investment process to Hannans Reward. So this team has worked together and has had success in WA on nickel sulphides. And in my opinion, they're as good as any nickel sulphide exploration team on the ground. Importantly for them though, they've got three great projects to test their abilities on. And they're the Forestania project near Western Areas, they're the Lake Johnson project near Norilsk, and they're the Queen Victoria Rocks project near Mincor. Don is smart enough also to know he doesn't know everything, so he's engaged a manganese specialist to help him in taking forward the East Pilbara Manganese project in this fantastic province. It was mentioned at the start of the conference that Mineral Resources are doing great things, and Mineral Resources are mining the Nicholas Downs Manganese project with Gina Reinhardt there up in the East Pilbara. That's also obviously a logistics business. So we give Don and his team every opportunity for exploration success, and I'm a little bit proud of this chart. Since listing, that's every quarter for the last 9 years. The yellow's the overheads, the blue's the exploration expenditure. I think that gives you the feel that we have a crack. The last quarter, we spent $1.6 billion on direct exploration. The low point there is the GFC. That provided an opportunity for another well-known nickel investor to have a crack at taking over Hannans. Pleased to say that that didn't eventuate, but I think it explained to me our portfolio is highly worthwhile, and our shareholders supported us, and we're grateful for that, and we're going to return their faith with the discovery. So they've got a tough job. Nickel sulphides isn't easy, as we know. There's only probably 3 nickel sulphide deposits in recent times, the virgin ones that have been discovered. The great result by the guys at Western Areas with Spotted Quoll, obviously JBM, and more recently Independence and South Boulder with Rosie. So here's a good position to start looking for though. The northern extension to the western ultramafic that hosts those fantastic nickel deposits owned by the very advancing company Western Areas, and also the Flying Fox Extension Lounge Lizard owned by Kagara. So we believe that these are the same rock types. We're using the geology, the geophysics and the geochem to give ourselves the best chance of exploration success. I won't go into it in a great deal of detail because I have basically not much time, but please come to the booth and have a look. Also recently Don in doing his drilling intersected some high-grade hematite sitting on top of Biff. And that's interesting because Kazali's Parker Range Iron project is about 70 k's to the north, and they're going to be producing up to 4 million tonnes of iron from this district, so there's half a chance that could work. At Lake Johnson, we're south of the global majors Norilsk Nickel, and whilst we believe there's a good chance they're restarting nickel mining at Emiliana and Maggie Hayes, our focus is currently on the gold, and for very good reason. Lots of good grade gold, narrow at this stage, but we're doing the work. We're about to start an RC drilling program to test that gold. That gold just featured down at the south called Mount Gordon, so come and have a look at that. Queen Victoria Rocks next to Mincor. It's been around for a long time. We've had some fantastic partners here, including ex-JBM, Tony Rivera, Vale from South America, but I honestly believe that looking at it over the last 10 years, Don's the first guy to pull it all together and digitise the information. So that Spargo's prospect, which formed the foundation for Spargo's reward trading at between $7 and $10 for a year, is where we're going to spend the next couple of months testing those embayments where there's lots of gaps on the contact, where there's nickel sulfides, albeit disseminated. The manganese province in the East Pilbara, Ozquest have hit high-grade manganese. There's lots of manganese. Obviously, it's logistics. We're going to put together a manganese resource and then aim to consolidate that with like-minded steel input companies and maybe do another Scandinavian resources for the benefit of Hannans shareholders. Look, I've taken up 10 minutes. I've seen my time clock tick over, but you have to believe and you have to have faith. And if you're into exploration, but not all or nothing, then you should buy Hannans. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Damien.